Fernando Sandoval, who will be speaking about avoiding pitfalls in startup and large corporate collaboration. Thank you, Fernando.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, good afternoon. So, first of all, how many of you know Group NL? Raise your hand. No? One. Okay. How many of you know Endesa? Endesa, okay, it is more familiar. So Endesa is Group NL company here in Spain. And how many of you know, whoa, how many of you know, could you please, sorry, hey, could you please restart the presentation, please? So how many of you know the value proposition we have for startups? Nothing. Okay, so we're going to go very briefly. It is not your fault. Could you restart it? Could you please go to the beginning? Thank you. So very briefly, we're going to tell you in a nutshell what we do in NL Innovation Hubs and what we do in Group NL with the startups. And then we are going to discuss, and we want to be a discussion among all of us on how to improve the relationship between startups and large corporates. So Group NL is one of the largest European utilities in nowadays. I think we are the largest utility by market cap. In fact, we want to lead the change in the industry. And we are aware and we know that in order to be able to do so, we need open innovation. And that is the innovation model that we want to embrace and that we have embraced so far. So we want to work with a startup within this open innovation model because we know startups are at the state of the art of technology and the state of the art of new business models, and they're fast, and that's what we need in order to improve and in order to be better. So what is our value proposition for startups? We do not invest, we do not accelerate, we want to engage into a win-win relationship with the startups, in a collaboration relationship with the startups. And by doing so, we want to be able to bring innovation into our group, and we want, on exchange, to allow the startup to grow with us, to scale with us, to have Group NL as an important customer. And we do so by sharing our expertise. We have mentors, we have technicians who are able to support the startup in terms of technology and in terms of regulation. And we want the startups to be able to test what they do in our test facilities and our real infrastructure. We have set up a network of innovation hubs. We have 8 innovation hubs so far. And we are in charge of scouting startups, and we are in charge of developing the relationship with the ecosystems in those places where we are based. We are based in Madrid. We are the Innovation Hub of Spain, and we have the responsibility to do scouting in all Europe. So let's go to those pitfalls, the pitfalls that we want to talk about. So first of all, this is, as a disclaimer, this is not... this is based on our experience of 6 years, and of course, it is not that it works for all startups and all large corporates, but it's what we found out that is important for us, and it is important for a startup when they work with us. So we're going to go through 7 insights in this relationship model. First of all, and we're going through the process that the startup has with us. So first of all, is it the right moment? Is the startup ready to work with a large corporate? This is the first thing we think that the entrepreneur has to ask himself or herself. And this depends on the model of collaboration that the large corporate has. For instance, we look for prototypes, we look for minimum viable products that we are going to be able to test. So it means that at least we are looking for a startup in this stage of development. Maybe another large corporate is looking to invest into a startup. So it is good for them to go on an earlier stage. So this is important for the startup to take into account. Then, the startup must have a professional approach to the large corporate. And we don't mean that the startup need to, come wearing a suit and a tie, because we know that is not the startup we are looking for. But the startup has to understand the language of the large corporate. The startup needs a balanced team. This is something we all know. But in this team, we think there has to be a business development person, someone who has been in a large corporate or that has worked with large corporates in the past. So he or she can understand the process of the relationship with the large corporate. And this is something important in terms of technical people, that we see a lot of technical people in the energy industry. It is good if they associate with a businessman. It is good if they have someone that can lead this process with the large corporate. Third thing we think startups should do is to have a clear message. The startup needs to understand who the counterpart is in the large corporate. So, for instance, we as Innovation Hub, we work for all business lines and all companies of the group. So it means that we have a very thin layer of knowledge of technical issues, for instance. We understand the industry in which we are, but we are not the real experts. So we need the startup to help us. We need the startup to send us a clear and simple message of what they do. And when you are with the large corporate, with the person of the large corporate, you have to understand what is the role of this person within the large corporate and take advantage of it. So go to the point. Don't tell us things that we already know. Don't explain us the climate change. We know what it is. Customize your message. If we say we are not interested in investing, don't tell us your financial needs, because we want to understand is your solution. So have a clear message. Clearly explain what is your differential value, what is that you are going to bring to us that we are not going to be able to find anywhere else, and what is your proposal to our special need. So how you tailor your proposal to our use case. So what we have found is that the clearer the message, the better the solution that the startup is proposing is suited to our needs, the faster that we are going to be able to engage in a relationship with the startup. And then, are you really ready? And by this we mean, do you have the money to engage into a relationship with us? So don't think, and this is something that we have found in some startups that we have worked with in the past, don't think that by becoming your first customer or your customer, you're going to be able to go to break even. So the processes with the large corporates are long. So you need to be financially prepared in order to be able to cope with this timing with the large corporate. And what we have also found is that some startups have what we call a plan B. So this means that they have an alternative line of income besides the core business they want to build. So for instance, we have found some startups that, based on their knowledge, have set up a consulting service for third parties. So meanwhile they are able to, meanwhile they are building their core business, they are able as well to get some income, some cash flow for the startup. And then what we have found it is very important as well is to have the adequate mix of customers. But what we mean by that is, if you're a B2B startup, it is important to think who is the first customer you need to tackle. What is the first customer you want to have? Maybe it is not the large corporate. Maybe you need to go to an SME that is a company in which the person who decides, the person who probably pays, and the person who is going to use the solution is the same. So it is going to be much faster, and they are going to give you the possibility to test and to tell the large customer, the large corporate, that you already have customers, which is very important for us and especially for our business lines when it comes to work with the startups. Understand the corporate. We are very complex organizations. So understand the processes, ask who are the persons you have to talk with, ask who are the persons who are going to be involved in the process, and what you need to be able to go through the path with the large corporate. And in that sense, we as Innovation Hubs are there to help you understand how the process is and who you need to talk to in Group NL. And take into account that we are not complex, that we are not complicated because we want. It is because we need to fulfill regulation. So when we ask for certifications, when we ask for things you need to have, it is because we need to fulfill with this compliance. It is because we need a reputation as well. We need to protect, which is very important for big companies. And at the end, it is good for you that we ask for that, because once you do it with a large corporate, then you are going to be able to work with the others. And we have found in the past startups who come to us and tell us that it has been good, that we have been asking for that, so they have been able to work with others afterwards. Be ready to solve any issue. So the post-sales is most important with working with a large corporate, because at the end, we need you there to be able to cope with anything that could go wrong, that for sure will be, because we want to build trust with you. At the end, this is the most important thing. You need to build trust with the large corporate. Ken Morse was saying yesterday here in the event that the middle managers are the ones that kill innovation in large corporates. And it is because they are afraid of taking the risk. So if you help building up this trust, they are going to be able, they're going to be able to be confident to work with you. And finally, and most important, never give up. Be patient, be persistent. The processes with the large corporates are long. It takes time within large corporates to take decisions. There are a lot of people involved, and we are changing. We are improving our processes, for instance. We have defined new procurement procedures in order to be able to work with the startups in a faster way. And just to close, I want to share with you what Joe Haslam said a couple of months ago that I had the opportunity to be in one of his presentations. He is a professor of IE University. He says it is going to be the end of the startup era. And it is not because the startups are going to disappear, but because what we need are scale-ups. We don't need many startups. We need scale-ups in order to be able to work with large corporates. And the message he sent to the startups was designed from the beginning to scale up. Because at the end, what we think is that corporates shouldn't be afraid of startups. It means that we need startups to work with, and startups are not going to be really a menace for the large corporate, but an opportunity. And startups need corporates to scale up. And that's why we have set up this network of innovation hubs, and that's why we want to work with the startups. So thanks a lot. I have 1 minute for questions and to open a discussion if you want. If you have a startup working in the energy industry and you think you can work with Group NL, we are here to listen to your proposal. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Fernando. We very much appreciate it. We have some
time.
We have just about 1 more minute. If anybody has any questions, anyone? There were a lot of topics covered there. We can talk after as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Fernando.
much.
We appreciate it.